Hi, I'm Chef Lincoln Carson. We're here at my restaurant, Bon Temps, in the Arts District in downtown Los Angeles. I'll preface my 5 essential kitchen tools by saying I think it's really hard to narrow it down to 5. I really find my essential kitchen tool is based on the job I'm doing. But that said, the things that I would always pack if they were packable, and not all of my tools are. Number 1, a strop for honing my knives. What is a honing strop? For me, it's the final process in getting my knives incredibly sharp, as well as a much better method for keeping your knife sharp and straight during a busy use where you might otherwise use a diamond steel or something just to try and straighten the edge. I find the strop is the better way to go. Here's an obviously well-used example. It's basically made out of leather. This one has a magnet on the back, so it sticks to this heavy piece of steel and it stays put where I want to use it. And the green that's on top of it is a polishing compound. It's got copper oxide that's in a wax base that you rub onto it to help get a very, very, very fine edge, a mirror polish in fact. How do you use a honing strap? Really, it's important that you're on a solid base. It's not going to slide around, putting a lot of pressure on it. And you really want to put about 10 pounds of pressure on your knife blade when you're sharpening it. And this is what I would do during service if we were carving a few chickens and I needed to get the edge back. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on this. I don't know if you can see the blade flex, and you can see you get this very polished mirror finish on it. And in fact, it's pretty sharp. Next step is a lightsaber, right? One of my other favorites is a hard rubber cutting board. Why hard rubber? Why not wood? Why not plastic? It really lends to what do you do with a cutting board. You cut on it. And if you keep your knives sharp, you realize how much work it takes to keep them sharp. And the surface that you're cutting on really affects how long your knives stay sharp as much as what you're cutting. If you're cutting on a hard plastic cutting board, for example, it tends to dull your knives fairly quickly. A wood cutting board, really good material, especially if it's end grain. I do have one at home. But in a commercial setting, they're a little harder to keep clean on a regular basis. They also show a lot of nicks and cuts much more quickly, and they wear down faster. The hard rubber cutting board, very sanitary, easy to clean. If you need to, you can sand it down and get a fresh layer on it. The one thing you have to be careful of is when you wash it, you don't want to put it through a commercial dishwasher. It is a little pliable when it gets hot, and you want it to stay flat. Generally, hand wash only. Maybe not the right knife for slicing a lemon, but I happen to have it handy. I can feel that there's not a lot of roughness between the edge of the blade and the board. It just kind of skates across the surface. It makes very small cuts, but doesn't damage the blade needlessly. So what makes a Rationale combi oven so special? I don't know that we have enough time to talk about all of it. It's incredibly accurate, and a lot of ovens aren't, even high-grade professional ovens. It does multiple things. So it can be just a convection oven. It can be a steam oven, or as the name implies, it can be a combi oven and do both convection and steam. And you can manipulate it in such a way that it will do all 3 things throughout a cooking cycle or a cooking process. So there really isn't anything that you can't do with it. And it cleans itself. Like literally has a cleaning program that you put a couple of cleaning tabs into it, hit the cleaning cycle, and it is spotless mirror finish within an hour. Why this spatula and not all of the other spatulas that I use? Well, this also speaks to having a very specific use and trying to pick the one thing that I'm not ever going to want to lose over others. I can't use this for everything I would use an offset spatula for, but in the style of food that I create, there is a lot of what we call a la minute cooking and plating and very precise placement of food. You notice it's really very flexible. It's got a sharp, pointy tip. It's also kind of unique, and I like that. It's got some history to it. I've had this for a while. One way I use it is to say cut this Campari pâte de fouille. Very good at cutting a straight line. I can also free up the pâte de fouille around the edge and then use it to lift the jelly out, right? Now say I want a long strip. And I could accomplish the same thing with a knife, however, I can also use this for plating up, placing this jelly. Stay. I can also use it to put a thicker sauce on the plate. So this is just a vanilla whipped cream, but if I want to have kind of a cool disappearing effect, all sorts of things. All in one. It slices, it dices. So as far as the Lady Hamilton spoons, these are two. There are many more, but these are mine. I have other graduations of these. This is a pattern, and you can see it's kind of Art Deco in style. The pattern makes it cool, but that's not why it's a great spoon. The pattern was from the late 1930s, community silver plate, or I've seen some labeled Oneida. Usually you can find them on eBay or other auction sites. It's relatively common in terms of being able to find them. What makes it a great spoon? Well, as a pastry chef, one of the things that we do is something called a quenelle, which is creating a shape that looks sort of like an egg. And you'll see the shape on this is very rounded at the base and tapers to a point. So it's a very elegant shape. It's also got a very nice sharp edge so that when I'm saucing on a plate, I can get a very precise line, and I can use the tip in other ways when I'm plating. You can draw out this really cool long line. We can use the tip to accurately place the little graduated dots, right? It's kind of fun. Maybe put another sauce right down the middle. Lady Hamilton. It's also good for eating. So I think the reason some of these tools are so essential is through so many years of using these and similar tools, you eventually hone it down to what works the best for your style. And it's not to say that the tool speaks to the style, but I think somewhere along the way there's a melding of the two.